So Cathie Wood just offloaded millions and millions of dollars of Tesla, and it wasn't just in one day, it was 2 days back to back. See, on Thursday, she sold approximately $27 million worth of Tesla, and then on Friday, an additional $23 million of Tesla. So in this video, I want to go ahead and cover the most probable reason why Cathie Wood sold a bunch of Tesla, and then also I want to cover on my thoughts going forward with Tesla. Now, the reason why Cathie Wood most likely sold a bunch of Tesla is simply because she watched my last video. No, I'm just kidding. She did not watch my last video. But, in all reality, I want you guys to pay attention to something. So, if we take a look at this, so as of March 24th, we see that Tesla still holds a weight of 10% in, the ARK funds. And so one of the common things that you see often with a lot of fund managers is this one rule, and it's not a very rigid rule, it's something that's very flexible, but, typically you don't want to exceed more than 10% for one particular stock in your fund. You want to diversify, something that you hear all the time. The more diversity, the better, right? Because obviously you could, withhold different market conditions when, let's say one sector comes down and another sector goes up, right? And so, this is my speculation on the most probable reason why Cathie Wood sold Tesla. She probably just wanted to trim down from 11% down to 10%, right? And then also use the capital to go ahead and buy something else. And what did she buy? She ended up buying more Square. So we recently saw that Square fell down tremendously. And the reason why being that Hindenburg Research, which is basically this company that they pick out a target of any publicly traded company, they find dirt on it, they start shorting the company, then they do research and publish this research of all the bad doing from this company, and they make a quick profit. And so they targeted Square, which is why we saw Square fall down tremendously. They said that Cash App had a ton of fraud, and they talked about how they engage in illegal activity, which this is anecdotal. I just want to mention this, but before I worked at Wells Fargo, for those of you guys that don't know, I was a banker at Wells Fargo. I actually got promoted to be a stockbroker, but I quit before I got licensed. But before all of that, I worked at Truist Bank in the fraud department, and let me tell you guys something, right? Square or Cash App, I don't want to get in trouble legally, so I'm not going to say anything, but let's just say there was a lot of bad coming from Cash App. Again, this is just very anecdotal. But anyways, this company came out with this research saying, or pointing out, hey, this is what's happening, and Square just fell down overnight. And it looks like Cathie Wood is, what she's doing is just trimming off the fat that she has with Tesla, bringing it down to 10% of the weighted, holding that it has in her fund, and then using the extra capital that she has to buy the dip on Square, right? Now, this is just my perception of what I see going on. But I mean, it seems like the most logical reasoning of why she's selling Tesla. So with that being said, I don't think you should be getting mad at Cathie for selling Tesla. She's not switching sides. In fact, if you saw earlier, Tesla's still one of the biggest holdings in her fund, right? So I think she's still very bullish and optimistic for Tesla in the long term. She's just, doing what she has to do as a fund manager. Now, if you do want to get mad at, Cathie Wood, I think the real reason should be the fact that, she's lost, billions of dollars for her investors who invest into her fund, while he's still collecting millions of dollars of fees. But that's just, based on the whole business model of running a fund. See, when you have an ETF like what Cathie has, multiple ETFs, they have expense ratios. So regardless of how the fund performs, Cathie still gets paid. But at the end of the day, I still don't think you should get mad at that, because that's just, the nature of things, of how, ETFs and fund managers, that's just how all that works, right? You can't get mad at anyone, doing what they have to do to make money. And in fact, I think Cathie Wood, is very vocal on, just pushing things to the future. I think she does, genuinely believe in what she says. And I think what she says is really good, right? And obviously in the short term, things may be going down. Like I said in my last video, I do see, Tesla not really moving up much from here at the short term time period. But long term, I'm still bullish on Tesla. In fact, in my last video, I talked about how in my long-term portfolio, I added more shares into Tesla when Tesla was going down. I bought more Tesla while Cathie Wood was selling Tesla. But in my short-term portfolio, yeah, I made a profit by shorting Tesla. Why wouldn't I, right? So that's just something I want you guys to understand. I have a short-term trading account, but I also have a long-term portfolio. Now, with that being said, I want to go ahead and just highlight some things that I think we should pay attention to when it comes to Tesla Tesla stock. So looking at Tesla from my short-term time frame, one of the things I want to point out is that there's a lot of volume by price. I mentioned this in my previous video. What does that mean? Well, typically when there's a lot of volume by price, that puts us with a shelf of resistance or a floor of support. Well, right now we're at a shelf of resistance. Adding another layer on that, the economic data, just recently had to force the Federal Reserve to hike by another 25 basis points. Not good. We're not going to feel that now, but we're going to feel that later on. In fact, all the previous, hikes, we're going to start feeling all that pressure coming a little bit closer now, right? So that's not good. Now, another thing that I want to point out is that when we look into March 31st, we see more data coming forward, which is going to be the PCE, the Personal Consumer Expenditure Report, and that's what the Federal Reserve actually looks at when it comes to gauging how bad inflation is. So we want to pay attention to what happens when this report comes out, because again, if inflation still remains sticky, well, that's not going to be good for Tesla or any other stock for that matter, right? So, of course, well, obviously, there's going to be some sectors that benefit off this. However, Tesla is not going to do too well with this. Now, I also want you guys to pay attention to something that is coming soon, but we don't know, and that is a catalyst event, and that is the Cybertruck. Now, I mentioned this a multitude of different times on this channel. We don't know exactly when the date is, but Elon has mentioned a copious of different times that, during the summer of 2023, production is going to start for the Cybertrucks. Now, he mentioned that's going to be a minuscule amount and the real production ramps up in 2024. However, when that news comes out in the summer, well, that's going to be bullish for Tesla, right? Especially when we find out, okay, it's finally here. It's no longer just a myth. However, we don't know when it's coming, but summer is getting closer, so we want to pay attention for that. Now, on the subject of trucks, we have this news of Ford revealing a new truck coming in future, a concept car, the T3. Right now, this is ridiculous because it's just them trying to build up hype for their EV models. And, in my last video, I mentioned that Ford is just in a losing game when it comes to the EV space. In fact, they lost about $2 billion last year, trying to, fuel up their EV, production. And now they're expected to lose over $3 billion for 2023. And in my last video, I pointed out that Ford mentioned themselves that they don't expect to get profitable until 2026, when Tesla is currently profitable, and what they're actually working towards is scale, not working towards becoming more profitable, but towards scale. While Ford is talking about, hey, we're gonna make this new truck, we don't really have the designs for it, but hey, we're gonna try to become more competitive to Tesla. Yeah, okay, you guys are light years behind the work that Tesla is doing. So that right there just keeps me bullish for Tesla in the long term. But with that being said, guys, make sure to hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed to the channel already, and I'll see you guys on this next video right over here. Take care, guys.